Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar on the topic digitally transform your procurement function with MeRLIN. We would be recording the webinar for internal process compliance. Please enter your questions in the question box window. My name is Srikanth Ramakrishnan. I am the moderator for today's webinar. I've been working in the IT industry for more than 2 decades, largely focusing on IT delivery, managing center of excellences, and building large delivery teams, mostly driven by strategic IT transformations. Currently, I've been building and managing a partner ecosystem for Reinbrücker, through which we can provide cutting-edge solutions to our esteemed customers in this region. So far, we have inducted nearly 6 partners, and 4 more are in the process of incubation, totaling to 10 partners with diversified experience and the go-to-market strategy for Middle East region. We would be providing our industry-focused solutions through the channels, and partners will be empowered to do successful business transformation to end customers. Today's speaker, our esteemed guest, Mr. Suresh Chandrasekaran. He is our Chief Solutions Architect, who comes with the most diversified experience spanning more than 2 decades in solution architecture, pre-sales, and consulting. He has successfully implemented ERP solutions across the world. As a Chief Solutions Architect, Suresh comes with immense technical know-how and provides technical leadership and strategy in the domain of enterprise IT across industries. His expertise enables the strategic development and management of new solutions, providing innovative solutions to customers to address business challenges and ensure sustainable growth. We would like to bring you the following topic today, the webinar, and touch upon certain perceptual acuity that encompasses procurement as a function. Topic span across the items such as digitally transform your procurement function with MeRLIN, which is a sourcing solutions from Reinbrücker. Point number 2, supply chain disruption and the business impact. Third point would be what the experts are saying. Fourth would be the trends globally, what's happening. Fifth would be what is MeRLIN up the value chain, how does it map with the sourcing process, and the entire value chain is explained. MeRLIN for stakeholders, who gets to do what, who gets to know what. At a very high level, we would explain this, followed by benefits of MeRLIN as a procurement solution. We would also discuss potential use cases, case studies, and a high-level demo. That would be the point specific to the topic we would cover today, followed by couple of minutes we will discuss what Reinbrücker brings to the table as a value proposition, followed by question and answers from your side. So that's the agenda for today, and I would request Suresh to take this forward. Suresh, over to you.
Thank you, Sri, and good afternoon to all of you. Digital transformation is a topic which has been widely spoken in the last couple of years. And if you look at many of the organizations who are successful, especially during this COVID, and I would say those are such organizations who have invested heavily in digital transformation initiative. Every organization is trying to make their process much more agile as well as efficient. And the only way to achieve that is by investing in the digital transformation. And if you look at sales, finance, or the production, people have invested heavily in those areas in digitally transforming those particular functions. Procurement is one function where I would say not much of investment when it comes to digitally transform the procurement initiatives. Almost 80% of the mid-market companies are still relying on spreadsheets, or they are manually doing performing procurement operations. So it is not very efficient, and they're not able to support the overall organizational requirement. There are a lot of studies being done. It's before COVID as well as during COVID, And there are a lot of results, and I would say kind of research reports which has been published. And one of the interesting one is basically the one published by McKinsey. And what they say is every 30-day disruption, right? Even a small 30-day disruption caused by the supply chain vulnerabilities can create or can result in 3 to 5% of EBITDA margin gaps. So especially these days, organizations are struggling to keep the EBITDA, and that is when you have a much more challenge, or such a small disruption, especially in the supply chain, can cause 3 to 5% of EBITDA gap. And if you look at certain other organizations, there's a study been done by BCG. They have done a survey for a spend plus survey in US and Europe market. 78% of the companies they have surveyed are experiencing a revenue decline. And the participants or the attendees in this particular seminar or webinar, you can see that impact in your organizations as well, right? There's a huge revenue declines because of several reasons, right? Certain reason could be the logistics disruption, logistics issues. It could be caused by the workforce issues actually, or availability of the workforce and the migrant labor. And you can also have several other reasons actually. Many organizations are not able to take their commodities to the market because of lack of e-commerce platforms, right? So these are all the organizations who are successful during this period are such organizations who are invested in e-commerce and other digital transformation initiatives. And there is a survey done by Deloitte, and they are talking about almost 85% of the SMEs will run out of cash within 3 or 4 months of disruption, right? Because they are not able to take their service and commodity to the customer, and they are not able to generate required cash, and they will have a huge struggle when it comes to this kind of supply chain disruption impact, right? And there are also a lot of surveys being done, especially in terms of the impact of COVID or the lack of investment in the digital transformation initiative. And you can see here, there are several experts like Gartner, Bain & Company, KPMG, BCG, all of them are talking about their views. But the interesting one is basically from the Bain & Company. It clearly says investments in supply chain resilience can deliver a 15 to 20% improvements in the planned output and close to around 20 to 30% rise in the customer satisfaction. As we all know, customer satisfaction is one of the key things, especially in the growth of any organization, right? And it is also to have what output can be produced by the existing capacity. They are also talking about the analytics and the capability for the users to slice and dice the information, and having visibility of the overall supply chain for the organization. And the forecast accuracy of such things can help us 20 to 60%, right? So if you look at a couple of things, what they are talking about, one is basically the investment in supply chain resilience, and especially in the supply chain or digital transformation platforms, and the analytics capability in such products can help organizations to make their process much more efficient and get a much better output from their with their current capacity. KPMG is talking about enhanced supply chain autonomy, right? So all these different experts are talking about the need for a digital transformation in the organizations to make their process much more agile and efficient. And this particular survey is talking about what kind of improvements is going to cause a better savings in the organization. They're talking about 10 to 15% savings can be achieved by simply operating efficiency, right? By you make the process more efficient, and operating efficiency can be improved, and thereby you can achieve 10 to 15% of savings. And if you go and look at internal compliance, we are talking about 15 to 25% extra savings can be achieved, right? By external compliance, you will get 15 to 25%, right? But the biggest thing is basically focusing more on strategic sourcing and strategic procurement, right? There's a huge difference between the traditional procurement and strategic procurement or strategic sourcing. And through the strategic sourcing, you can achieve close to 40 to 60% savings by simply focusing more on strategic sourcing, right? And that is where you need proper platforms and solutions so that you can focus more on strategic sourcing and get the better price as well as better service from your suppliers. It is also important to focus on sourcing from the right suppliers and right geographies. You have to de-risk your overall supply chain disruption or the problems what you're going to have in the supply chain area by diversifying your supplier base and into multiple currencies and countries actually. From a data analytics point of view, spend management and improving the supplier base is very key. And these days, organizations, they look at best of breed solutions, right? If you 10 years back, probably people were looking at a single solution, which is a generic solution which will serve every purpose of the organization. But people started thinking slightly different these days. They are looking at to have a best of breed solutions which will serve overall it will help us to improve the bottom line as well as to make the process much more efficient and agile. Now, MeRLIN is such a solution which will help you in terms of focusing more on your strategic sourcing as well as helping you in terms of making your process more efficient. Now, let's look at what MeRLIN does, right? So, as I said, MeRLIN is a solution which serves you to have, which helps you to have or automate source to procure initiatives. And it also helps you in terms of the entire award management. You can also manage the whole procurement. Many of the organizations and many of the solutions stop once the contract is awarded to a supplier. But MeRLIN go one step further. It also helps you to manage the purchase orders in terms of expediting, right? The logistics management until the supplier confirms that material is being delivered, right? The rest of the activities in terms of receiving goods and invoicing, so on and so forth, is a hardcore functionalities of a ERP system. So without competing with an ERP functionality, we are complementing ERP to achieve the end-to-end process automation, I would say, with a source to procure automation within an organization, right? One of the important aspects when it comes to procurement is basically having proper strategy for a category, right? Category or a commodity, who is going to buy and who is going to deal with it, who are all the suppliers, and what's the strategy for getting that particular material or commodity within our organizations. So category management is something which MeRLIN provides, and that is something which is part and parcel of the system. You have the entire onboarding of suppliers, right? Supplier onboarding is not just creating a master, the end-to-end supplier evaluation before onboarding them, as well as a continuous performance evaluation and seeing who is the supplier whom we can deal with and which supplier we have to blacklist and graylist, right? And definitely the strategic sourcing in terms of RFI, RFQ, comparison of such RFQs, taking decisions actually, and creating contracts, managing the end-to-end negotiation of the suppliers, year-on-year negotiation. Also, we are talking about the e-auction functionality, right? So all these capabilities are part and parcel of MeRLIN, and MeRLIN helps customers to automate the end-to-end process. Contract management, including contract repository, right? Contract milestones and the entire contract analysis and evaluation is part and parcel of the system. The procurement expedition is something which we talked about. Requisition management and award management are other two functionalities which is part and parcel of MeRLIN, which helps organization to automate the end-to-end procurement process. It has got built-in analytics, so it helps you to do your own analysis in terms of slicing and dicing data. You can also look at spends and saving analysis. You can have your own reports and analytics as and when you need. The platform also helps you to interface with multiple ERP systems. As I have discussed earlier, people are looking at best of breed system, but everybody wants to have an integrated system running in their organization. So MeRLIN has got a middleware which helps you to integrate with any of the ERP system available in the market, and you will be able to automate the end-to-end process and make the process more efficient. MeRLIN is highly configurable. Whether it is workflow, whether it is screens, you can configure those things into the system. But at the same time, MeRLIN provides the best practice for the supply chain or the procurement process. Right? You can audit the end-to-end functionality. You can audit the transactions, what people have been doing. So MeRLIN allows you to manage the entire process when it comes to the procurement. Now, MeRLIN helps different stakeholders in the organization, right? Whether it is a CFO, procurement director, suppliers or buyers or IT, it helps across the organizations to achieve their goals. From a CFO's perspective, they want to have something, a low total cost of ownership with a rapid return on investment. Now, with MeRLIN, you can achieve that easily because MeRLIN is a system coming with best practice processes, and you will be able to get it up and running in your organization 4 to 5 weeks or 5 to 6 weeks compared to the traditional 1 or 2 years of implementation time frame, because the processes are built in, right? It is all about you getting your data, and the interface is out of the box available, and you have the flexibility to fine tune the interface as well. So whether it's the CFO, from his perspective, whether it is savings, whether it is return on investment, he will be able to achieve his goals through MeRLIN. From a procurement director perspective, he has got savings target, he has got his spend target, whether it is direct or indirect procurement. MeRLIN allows organizations or procurement directors to compare their savings actually versus the savings target, as well as ensure compliance to or the internal compliance and external compliance, right? And he will also get visibility in terms of overall procurement, overall spend being done within the organization. From a buyer point of view, it's more about transaction. He also has got targets when it comes to savings and what commodity he is going to buy from whom. It is also important for him to continuously assess a supplier and see the performance evaluations of such suppliers. How quickly he can respond to a request within the organization, how quickly he can convert a requirement to a award is what his kind of targets is something which you can achieve through MeRLIN itself. From a supplier point of view, how quickly we can respond to an RFQ, where do we get the visibility? Do we get the visibility to the overall need of the organizations? And the compliance as well is another key point. And you will be able to achieve all these things from a supplier's perspective in the MeRLIN itself. From an IT point of view, how quickly we can generate new reports, right? How can we help the other stakeholders in the organizations? From a security and compliance perspective, you will be able to achieve all those things through MeRLIN as well. MeRLIN is a solution which can be deployed, and the deployment flexibility is also provided, though there are different use cases. MeRLIN can be deployed on a cloud, or you can also have on-prem the deployment, right? So if you want to secure and keep your data close to your chest. The different use cases, you can see that actually you can have a situation where you can have multiple ERP instances. SAP is given for just for example, but you can have any ERP with multiple instances. You can have a single MeRLIN connector, and you will be able to consolidate overall need and manage the procurement from one MeRLIN instance. You can also have multiple ERPs, right? Organization who grew, especially through acquisitions, you may have multiple ERP systems. You can have one MeRLIN connector, and you will be able to consolidate the demand and get the benefit of economy of scale. You can also have maybe a small organization where they also need an ERP plus a MeRLIN. We will be able to provide that as well along with the ERP. You can also see that actually MeRLIN allows you to take functionality specifically for a module, right? You can subscribe only for e-auction. You can subscribe only SRM. You also have the flexibility to subscribe only analytics or sourcing. So it is completely modular. So people have the flexibility to pick and choose what specific modules they want for their organizations. Some organization may say that actually, hey, I also already have a procurement function up and running reasonably well, but I don't have the end-to-end analytics, right? You can go and buy any analytical tool, but the challenge is basically make meaningful analysis. You will end up in spending a lot of time in terms of preparing analysis, and that is where MeRLIN comes with out-of-the-box analysis at any given point in time, right? That is something which you can do. Out of the analytics, you get it, and you have the flexibility to only use analytics of MeRLIN. Overall, if you look at MeRLIN's capability, as I said, it helps you to achieve the automation in the organization, right? Especially on the procurement area. MeRLIN is completely interfaced with the ERP system. So you have a seamless flow of information. You can keep MeRLIN as a single source of truth for all your suppliers, and the supplier information can move into the ERP system. It is completely scalable. MeRLIN can be used for an organization where there is 1 or 2 buyers, versus you can use it for hundreds and thousands of buyers actually. It provides complete visibility for the CFOs, CPOs, and buyers, and you can continuously analyze, and you can do a performance analysis of your suppliers based on the commodity they supply, as well as the price and the on-time delivery, so on and so forth. The system helps you to do a SIFOT analysis, especially supply in full on time, and you can see how many suppliers are supplying material on time to your organization, and where is the risk and how do we mitigate that kind of risk actually. So MeRLIN allows you to do a fully automated process in your organization from a procurement perspective. MeRLIN is being used by customers across the globe, and this is one of the examples where a customer, one of the biggest automotive manufacturing company, they try to implement many procurement solutions. They try to develop something on their own, but many of their projects were completely failed because of the resistance from suppliers due to lack of usability and flexibility, lack of flexibility and usability. Because of that, the buyers were not ready to use it. That is when we got into that particular customer with MeRLIN, and today they are using MeRLIN across 16 countries to buy close to $2.5 billion material. You can also see the buyers, close to 35 to 50 buyers sitting across the globe, and they are doing procurement through MeRLIN. During the COVID, they really made use of MeRLIN to negotiate with supplier by seeing the impact of every point of, let's say, every day of a payment term change. If you reduce a payment day or increase a payment day, what is going to be the overall impact on your cash flow is something which MeRLIN can provide, based on that fact, the company has negotiated with their suppliers and tried to help their cash flow, right? So MeRLIN is one of the solutions which help you to automate the end-to-end process in the organization, right? Especially from a supply chain point of view. As we have seen MeRLIN, now we are going to look into the product, and what it does is basically, right from different stakeholders' perspective, you will be able to see the end-to-end information, especially to have visibility on what you do and what process you want to make it more efficient, right? Now, when you log into the application, as you can see, there are different user profiles, different user roles. You have the flexibility to go and look at information the way you want. The moment I log in, you can see that actually different graphs. This is a landing page. The landing page is completely for you to configure it, right? If I'm a CPO, what dashboards and charts and graphs I want to see, I have the flexibility to go and configure that. You can see here, this is different business processes in my organization, right? From a CPO's perspective, I want to see where is the bottleneck and how do we resolve that bottleneck. You can pretty much see that actually from a PO creation point of view, or from onboarding a supply point of view. What is the target time? I would say target hours is basically 120, but I am onboarding a supplier within 72 hours, even after multiple level of approvals, right? So this is where easily a CPO can identify where the bottlenecks are. If you look at this particular case from a non-preferred waivers, if I am raising a contract, creating a contract where unapproved suppliers, it has to go through a different workflow. System is saying your target hours is basically it is 96, but you are taking almost 112 hours. If you want to get into the details, you can pretty much drill into that. System will show you which commodity, which category you have this problem, right? So all these charts and graphs, what you see is basically you can drill it down. You can see from a preferred and non-preferred, how much I'm spending with a preferred vendor, how much I'm spending with a non-preferred vendor. You can see that, right? So ideally, I should not be spending much with the unapproved suppliers. This is an interesting analysis. You can see here on the y-axis, I have the spend. On the x-axis, I have the supplier rating. Now, the beauty in MeRLIN is basically it do a completely continuous performance analysis of a supplier or performance rating of a supplier. It is done on multiple attributes. The attributes can be configured. And you can also say that actually what is the weightage of that attributes. You can pretty much say that actually based on-time delivery, based on price, quality, technical capability, I am going to rank my suppliers, rate my suppliers, and that is what system is doing automatically. Now, in this particular 9-box analysis, system is showing which supplier, how much is spent on each and every contract by contract, right, or supplier by supplier. I can pretty much go and say that actually, hey, I don't want to look at all of them. I want to just look at one commodity, right? You have the flexibility to just only take one commodity. Here you can see I'm taking only electrical commodity. Now, if you go and look at it, you can click on any of those dots. It shows this is the supplier, rating is 7.34, and I spent $99 million for that with that supplier. System is saying that is continue that. Because from a strategic sourcing procurement point of view, you keep on investing in a supplier, get the better quality and better price for them, right? That is why system is saying if the supplier performance is good and you are spending with them, it is good, continue that. If the supplier performance is very good and you are not spending much with them, it is we are spending only 9.15, 23 million. The rating is 9.5. Supplier is saying, system is saying you invest in that particular supplier, take them to maintain level, right? If you look at some other case where supplier rating is very bad, you spend money, system is saying stop spending on those suppliers, right? So you can also have the flexibility. You can go here, you can say, hey, I want to go and zoom it. You can go and look at that information. You can zoom it at any one point in time. You have the flexibility in terms of looking at your suppliers and their performance and how much money they are spending. This is a great tool for the CPO, CFO to see that in case we are not sticking to the internal complaints and processes and spending with suppliers who are very low rated, right? That is something which we can do. You also see that actually the sourcing information here, right? The sourcing information, these are all the data. You can click on any of those things. It will help you to get into that specific sourcing information. You can also go here and see my supplier information. You can see my reminders, my actions, all these different information you can see, and you have the flexibility into the details, right? As I said, this dashboard is completely configurable. You have the flexibility to go and define your own dashboard. You can say, I want to publish that in my landing page, right? Rather than going and creating something completely from scratch or asking someone else to do it, right? I'm going to show you how quickly you can get a dashboard or analysis, right? And you can see here, there are hundreds of different analytics available and dashboards available. You can straight away publish that, or you can go and say that actually I'm going to do something on my own, and that I'm going to publish it, right? Any of those things, what you're looking at it, you can also see that actually you can save that into Excel, or you can save that into a PDF or any other format, right? You can also see here the date. You can click on that and say that actually I want to look at the information from what period to what period, right? You can see that information as well. You can see here spend by month, actual savings by month, all those different information. You have the flexibility to go and look at it. I'm going to go and create a dashboard for my own consumption. And you can see here, I will go and take this analysis and say, these are all the list of analysis what I have, right? I'm going to drag and drop the actual spend here. I will get the actual savings here. I'll say my budget spend, I want to bring it here. I will say a forecast spend, I'm bringing it here. I will also say that actually I also want to have some visualization where I want to look at the spend analysis, spend by month, I'm bringing it here. I will say I want to look at the analysis in terms of specific data, in terms of savings variance by supplier. You have the flexibility to go and see that. You can keep on dragging and dropping information, right? If you want to run the information for a specific period, you can go and take from which month to which month. You can also go and say that actually I want to have a filter where I can go and say, hey, I want to look at only for these buyers actually, right? I can see that. I can say only for certain commodities, I want to look at the information, right? So you can pretty much say that actually apply that filter. So you will be able to see information only that specific a selection what you have done. So you can see, you can save into PDF or save into, let's say, Excel, have that flexibility. This is you creating your own dashboards in the system, right? What it also allows you to do is you can also go here and say, I want to create my own tables and my own reports in the system, right? Rather than just dashboards. And it has got a completely cube browser functionality. I can go into the procurement data. I can go and say that actually I want to look at, let's say, the actual spend and I will say, I'm going to look at actual spend for a buyer, right? So this is what I'm going to say. I'll say, generate this report. Now you see that actually these are all the different buyers. You can see how much money they are spending. You can also go here. You can say, that is fine. I also want to see that actually my category L1, right? That is my row. I'm going to cover it. You will see that actually that information is being extracted, right? You can go and say, I want to see actual spend, as well as I want to go and see my let's say forecast spend, right? So I'm going to take both the information and bringing it here. You will get to see that information over there. You can also go and filter. You will be able to get all those information straight away in the application, right? So you have the flexibility in terms of managing such things within the application, right? And you can also see that actually the end-to-end supplier onboarding process, right from inviting a supplier, or you can the supplier can register and request for a registration invite. You can do the end-to-end supplier management process. You can also use the same process in terms of extending the supplier with additional commodities, additional material, additional services. You have the complete flexibility. You can see the budget can be managed in the system, so the end-to-end spend can be controlled through the budget, and you can have your own approval process. It allows you to have have requisition management across the organization, so people can create their own requisitions and get it approved and manage it, right? And the other important thing is basically you can have the RFQ, and you have the RFQ, and you can see that actually each and every RFQ or RFQ you have raised to your supplier. And the moment you get the RFQ, you have the flexibility in terms of managing the look and feel of the RFQ screen. You can also have the flexibility in terms of creating your own templates and using it. This is the flexibility what it offers in terms of managing different RFQs in the application. Now you can create an RFQ, you can publish it. The moment you publish an RFQ, you can see that actually in the supplier portal, the supplier will get an invitation in terms of responding to that RFQ. The supplier can log into their system with their supplier user ID and password, their registration details, and you will get to see that actually the complete information about that supplier in terms of how much money I spend and what kind of commodity my customer buys from me, and what kind of purchase orders and contracts are existing. You will be able to see that. You also get to see that actually a supplier language where I can see different analysis in terms of how much the supplier customer is buying from me, how many contracts are awarded, how many bids I have participated. You can see this information. You can also see that actually different RFQs, what is there and what is where I have got the invitation. I can click on that RFQ, I can go into the details, and I can respond to the RFQ, right? When I respond to the RFQ, you can pretty much take the enter details into a spreadsheet, and you can fill up the information and push it back to the system. So it helps you to manage the end-to-end process with ease of use, right? That use flexibility. You can see the RFQ information. You can also see that actually the part numbers or item numbers. You can respond to that, or you can say that actually, hey, I want to take this into a spreadsheet and I want to respond to that, right? I can pretty much click on this, and I can say I'm taking that into a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet I'm going to fill up the information and bringing that back to the applications, right? So you can see here, upload that. So that helps you in terms of responding to the RFQ, especially where there are hundreds of items and part numbers. Have the flexibility, the supplier has the flexibility to respond to all of them in the form of a spreadsheet and bring it back to the application. So we save a lot of time. It gives you that flexibility in terms of managing the end-to-end process, right? You also see that actually I can submit the code. I can keep submitting the code, because once I submit the code, my buyer may call and say, "Can you revise the price?" So I may revise the price. You can see here a spreadsheet, and here it provides all the data. You can pretty much have the list values here. If you want, select the specific currency you want. You have the flexibility, and you can say that actually I'm going to respond to the RFQ directly through spreadsheet and to bring that back to the application, right? That's something which you can do it. You can also see that actually I can submit once, or I can submit it for once for all. I can say this is the final submission. I'm not going to change anything. You can also see that actually attachments. The entire system supports attachments. The buyers can create more documents actually and attach to the RFQ. The supplier can see which can be attached against the part number or against the entire RFQ itself. You have that capability. The supplier also can attach document and send it back to the application, right? You also have that capability in the system. Now, once it's been submitted, the beauty is basically how quickly I can compare the overall queue and that particular information, right? I receive a response from multiple suppliers and get to see that actually different suppliers have responded to my RFQ. I have the flexibility to compare services. You can have a automatic comparison based on different score what they are getting against each question, or you have a capability to compare the multiple RFQs responses you have received, and you can take a decision and create award contracts. So it helps you in terms of managing the end-to-end process in the system, right? And you can see here, this is a response of multiple suppliers. And also see that actually the quotes I have received, and I may have multiple calls from multiple suppliers. In this particular case, I have received multiple suppliers, right? And you can see each and every question, there is a response. Some of them are responses automatically generated from the system based on their score and rating and their status. Some of them are entered by the users. If you look at here, you can see these two suppliers, all the three of them are approved. Then why do I need to consider? If all of them are same, I don't want to consider. I want to look at only the exceptions so I can take a quick decision. I will say remove that, right? I have removed that particular point, and I can take that. You can see the next is also removed. This is not available, I will remove it. And proposed status is basically 3 different status, so I will keep that. All of them are approved, I will remove it. And it's all about actually a mechanism of theory of elimination, right? Eliminate the one which is not required. Keep the only one what is relevant, so you can take a decision, right? And if you want to bring it back, you can pretty much get that as well here. Whatever questions you have removed, the answers you have removed, you can bring it back as well. You can also go and remove the suppliers if he is disqualified, right? Maybe because of the responses of certain questions. You have the flexibility in terms of going and looking at each and every answers, including the price, right? You can see what they have quoted and what is the price, the comparison between two suppliers, based on which I have the flexibility to straight away create the award contract. I can go and say, hey, this is the part number I'm assigning to this particular supplier, and due to this reason, I'm creating an award contract. So the award contracts can go through the approval process. So the approval will happen in the system at different stages, and finally the award contract is created, and the award contracts can be managed, and based on which you can create a contract as well. You also get to see the option management, contract management. All these capabilities are pretty much there in the system, and you can also have different reports and with the end-to-end configuration of the application, right? So MeRLIN is an end-to-end procurement source to procure tool, and helps you to automate source procure and make the process much more agile, and you can bring in efficiency in the overall process in the procurement area, right? It helps you to get better price, better quality, and because you are doing a strategic procurement through MeRLIN kind of solution, right? So that's when it comes to the applications, right? It's just a quick overview application, what MeRLIN is all about, and how does MeRLIN help you in terms of your digital transformation initiative when it comes to the procurement function, right? You would have already initiated a digital transformation initiative for your finance area, your sales or production, but procurement is one area where people have been ignoring, but organizations started realizing the more investment in procurement is going to be a directly it is going to help us to improve the bottom line of the organization and cut the unwanted spend, right? So that's what MeRLIN is going to help you, and MeRLIN is a solution which helps you to add the full-fledged source to procure kind of an initiative. Sri, back to you.
Hey, Suresh, thank you very much for that enthralling session. It was indeed helpful for providing a deeper insight to the audience in terms of viewers, what as a product MeRLIN can bring value on the table of procurement members when they digitize their overall procurement strategy. It helps them to improve their perceptual equity. That helps them. I would take them through what Ryan Bruca is as an organization providing, followed by the slides. We would take the questions. So next slide, please. Rheinbrücker is a global company with strong presence in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We focus on mid-market. We constantly innovate by raising our bars. We provide constant innovation, and we do source right in order to provide extreme level of value to our end customers. We are constantly focused on mid-market with strong multicultural and multilingual team that understands your regional needs. We believe that business can achieve the desired performance when IT is aligned to business strategy and operational business needs. Delivering value to your business is mandate of every CIO and IT organization. We create truly a unique value proposition through our cutting-edge solutions that leverage global cost models and best-in-class service by local experts. Next slide, please. We have four delivery pillars of expertise, and they are product development, ERP on cloud, surround IT, and consulting and advisory services. Through these delivery excellences, we offer cloud ERP. Our products are MeRLIN, which you saw today, Brücker, and Expensa. The third delivery pillar is surround IT, and the fourth is consulting and advisory. In the first delivery pillar, we provide cloud ERP. Rheinbrücker is a Epicor Platinum Partner and 2 times winner of International Partner of the Year. We have immense experience and expertise in providing Epicor implementation and support services to our clients globally for past 7 years. We have executed projects in more than 30 plus countries and have 250 associates servicing 5 of the global Fortune 500 companies, and are proud to be serving our happy customers across these locations. Talking the second pillar, we have been providing strong product development expertise, and one of the flagship product is MeRLIN, which is a strategic sourcing solution that you have seen today, which offers seamlessly integrated sourcing process automation along with supplier relationship management, planning functions augmented by advanced analytics and artificial intelligence. It plays a pivotal role in enhancing collaboration between buyers and suppliers through an intuitive platform. The other products are Brücker, that offers collaboration between the employee community, especially in the current business context, empowering employees to work from virtual office. The third product we offer is an expense management solution over the cloud, and it's a mobile application. This is called Expensa. The third pillar of delivery is connecting the enterprise together, which is surround IT. We are a certified Microsoft Global Partner, Gold Partner, delivering solutions in the space of IoT, business intelligence, e-commerce portals, web and mobile applications. The fourth pillar of our expertise is consulting and advisory services, wherein we leverage our industry experts from supply chain, global supply chain management, manufacturing, and provide IT portfolio rationalization and optimization. This is about Rheinbrücker's offering in a nutshell. I'm open for questions. We are open for questions now. Please feel free to type in your questions in the questions panel, which you can see in the screen. I would read out the questions, Suresh. I will need your help to answer them. How
Sure.
is strategic procurement different from traditional procurement? There is a question. This is from Varshni. Would you please take this question?
Yeah, thanks, Sri. It is a great question, and thanks, Varshni, for asking such a question, right? If you look at the way traditionally the procurement happens, right, we definitely have certain demands either for manufacturing our items, or let's say there are some internal demands for a consumable or any other services, right? We immediately go and raise an RFQ or call 5 suppliers and ask for a price, and typically we award the contract or raise a PO to a particular supplier, right? is purely based on a need basis, right? It is not that we are taking the advantage of economy of scale by consolidating the demand over a period of time, or forecasting the demand for the next couple of months or one year, and which we share that to the supplier. And rather than dealing with hundreds of suppliers, bring down the supplier base based on quality and the supplier performance, and share that demand upfront with the supplier. So the supplier is also keen in terms of dealing with you, because there is a protected business for them, right? And what they do is, and the supplier, what they do in terms of, instead of sharing a price, they typically go and share the total cost of their production, and what are the different the labor cost and other material costs, so on and so forth. Or the people make just a markup based pricing, right? We share the cost and we tell you I upfront take 10% margin, right? So supplier and customer works very closely by sharing the information in both the way, and we commit certain business to the supplier, and supplier invest in their process and make it more efficient. And as and when their process become more efficient, their cost goes down, and the supplier will be able to share one fraction of that cost to me as a customer. So I get the best quality, I get the best price, which I can't get from anyone else. The supplier get a promised business, a committed business. Supplier also can invest in their process because there is a buyer who is ready to buy material from you, right? That is how the traditional procurement versus strategic procurement works, right? And it's all about that collaboration we have with limited supplier base, what we have actually, which we have shortlisted based on quality and price and different other aspects. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Suresh. That was a nice differentiator between direct and indirect sourcing. The next question is something very interesting. You would love to take this. I would read it out. How is MeRLIN solution different from a procurement module in ERP?
Yeah, good question. I've been selling ERP for years, actually, right? So if you look at most of the ERP system, right, they always claim there is a procurement function. Definitely there is a procurement function, right? There is an RFQ module. There is definitely, may not be in the best of the best format and way it is, but there is a scaled down version of RFQ function. The supplier can be responded. How do they respond? I will send a document to the supplier in a spreadsheet or a let's say a document. The supplier sit and respond to each and every commodities, and they send either a spreadsheet or a document back to me. I will have to enter those responses into the system and do a comparison. How do you do comparison? It is not an automated comparison. It's all about, it will list one after the other. There is no automatic scoring and shortlisting and stuff like that, actually, right? So there is a scaled down version of procurement is there in every ERP system, but that is not enough for making it more efficient and making it user friendly, right? People wanted to have a collaborated platform and a platform to collaborate between supplier and buyer. The buyers can onboard the suppliers easily rather than sitting and entering those information. I can do a continuous performance evaluation of my suppliers and rate them. I will be able to raise an RFQ. My suppliers can easily fill up the information real time on the screen itself and the supplier portal itself. And that can be, as a buyer, I will be able to compare all those responses. Think about 5 or 6 responses I'm getting from different suppliers. Definitely in a strategic procurement, I may not get that, right? But though it is not strategic procurement, if I get 5 or 6 responses, comparing all those things is not easy, right? It is time consuming, it is frustrating, right? And it is difficult to ensure the compliance is being achieved, especially internal and external compliance. It is very difficult for us to convince, there is always internally, why did you choose this supplier, why not someone else, right? So all these questions can be eliminated, and we can have a system which is completely, the suppliers and buyers can collaborate, and they will be able to compare all those things and take a decision without violating the compliance issues.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Suresh. Suresh, we have a question from Mr. Awad. Thank you, Awad, for asking the question. Awad would like to know, this is mainly as a supply chain global, asking for the price with the vendors, not issuing POs. What would you like to interpret that, and how much is the price? And
it's from Robert, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so it is not just okay. If you look at a function, first of all, onboarding the supplier, right? You can have the end-to-end criteria for onboarding a supplier. The compliance for onboarding a supplier can be ensured. Now you can raise RFQs. You can create auction. All these different capabilities are there. Now, can we create PO? Definitely, MeRLIN has got the capability to create PO if the customer needs it, right? But in many cases, we may hear from the customer that, hey, PO onwards, let me do it in my ERP system, right? There is a good functionality of PO, and I can manage that. But you may have a PO, but you may not have an expediting capability, right? Expediting is all about, think about a PO I'm raising for a material which is going to come 6 months later, right? How do I ensure I'm going to get that material on time? And how do I ensure that material the supplier is going to ship on time? In case of a delay, how do they communicate? In case of an issue, how do I get that, so on and so forth, right? So the platform is, as I said, the collaboration is possible. The supplier can keep on updating in case of any delay, in case of an issue, so on and so forth. I will get those updated information, so my entire planning within my organization can be done very easily without me getting involved or manually interfering in some areas, right? So we can have PO, you can have the entire expediting process. The receiving can be done in the ERP system. So the question is basically, how do I do a receiving without having a PO? So the interfacing capability of MeRLIN will push the PO from MeRLIN to the ERP. If somebody is so persistent in terms of, I want to create the PO in my ERP system itself, so what we do is the moment they create the PO, we bring that PO back in MeRLIN, so the expediting can be done, right? The interface is seamless, and we will be able to achieve the end-to-end process in the source to procure process. The PO is not the last point when it comes to procurement, right? There are much more activities which we do from an expediting, from a logistics point of view. That can be done through MeRLIN itself.
Perfect. Thank you, Suresh. There is also a question from the same person. Thank you, Awad. This is a little straight question. What is the price of MeRLIN, number one? And is it a online solution or a locally installed solution? Maybe he's requesting if it's a cloud or an on-prem. So yeah, please take that question.
Okay. First of all, happy to hear that question. I want to sell MeRLIN free, right? But hey, jokes apart, right? If you look at it, MeRLIN is available on cloud, right? And the cloud is being available from Dubai. The hosting is done in Dubai. That is the flexibility what we have. The data is not going out of our region, right? That's number one. The second thing is basically, if somebody wants to have MeRLIN on-premise, right? We are not against it. We will give you on-premise, but the licensing will be on subscription basis, right? You don't get a proprietary license. Rather, what you do is, or you don't get a license which you buy it and pay AMC. Rather, we will give you on a subscription-based licensing, so you can buy, you can subscribe it till you want. The moment you say, "Hey, I don't want to use MeRLIN anymore," you can stop the subscription, right? That model is also available. From a price point of view, I will let my sales guys to reach out to you. Thanks for the interest, and I'm sure we will make a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Suresh, there is also a connected question here. I would read it. This is from Niveda. How secure is our confidential procurement data? So you might want to tie this with previous question and probably take that as a holistic data point security. Anyway, we are doing a separate stuff with our cloud partner. So please take this forward, Suresh.
Correct. So as I said earlier, the MeRLIN is hosted in UAE, right? And it's on a government data center called Moroha, right? And from a product perspective, the certification is being done by different security certification agencies to ensure there is no security lapse in the system, right? There is a leakage of data. So it's also been completely encrypted. And data center is completely been certified, and you can Deva and let's say that actually, their data is lying there data center, right? It's completely secure, and there is no challenge when it comes to the data security issues, right?
Great, thank you, Suresh. Just for addition, it is like a 3.5 levels of certification. The highest is like 4. When we say 4, it is like, they have alternate supply of electricity, which means from 2 different providers, basically, because in Dubai, it doesn't happen. Probably you would have heard Microsoft has their own way of, power generation facilities. So that's how they reached level 4. So this is like 3.5, and in Dubai, this is the only option for power supply. So it is highly secured and safe and provides a fail-safe mechanism, provides you business continuity and disaster recovery management also. Thank you, Suresh. Thanks for the answer. And next question is very important question. I would like you to take this. This is from Niveta. Thanks, Niveta, for asking the question. Sorry, this is from Gauri. Thank you, Gauri. What is the cost and ROI for MeRLIN? Maybe I think you have touched upon the cost part. Maybe you can touch upon ROI, Suresh.
Definitely, Sri, the cost and ROI is directly linked, right? If you look at it, the reason why we say MeRLIN as a product has got a highest return on investment or rapid return on investment, right? Especially because of the time frame it takes for implementing. Typical MeRLIN kind of a system, I would say e-procurement system, generally what we hear is 1 to 2 years, millions of dollars of investment, right? When we look at MeRLIN, we are talking about 4 to 5 weeks of implementation if you have a reasonable process in place, actually, right? Because otherwise you have the best practice driven implementation methodology what we have, and the MeRLIN is completely based on best practices. If you are ready to use that, then we are talking about 4 to 5 weeks of implementation, right? And the product is completely subscription based, and it is not very expensive. I can promise that. And overall, because of that, the return on investment versus I would say that actually is very high. In the total cost of ownership compared to any similar system is much lower, right? To add to this, Sri, actually I've done an ROI calculation for one of my customer, and ROI was in 5 months, right? And they couldn't believe it, I couldn't believe it, right? I put the actual figures into the ROI calculator tool what we have developed, right? And we have increased the ROI to 9 months to present in front of the management, so there is no risk tomorrow, right? And actually, once we have implemented it, they were also surprised what we have calculated was right? The ROI was, considering the cost, the ROI was 5 or 5.5 months, right? One of the systems which we have replaced was costing them close to $500,000 in a year, right? And you know the reason why we had a very rapid ROI.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you very much. We have one more technical question. This is with one of the functionalities you explained. Thank you, Niveda, for bringing this up. What do you mean by expediting? That's one of the demos stuff you did. Would you please take that?
Good question. Okay. Let's look at it actually. Expediting or logistics. There are some organizations may have an expediting team. Their job is the moment the buyer raised a PO, till the material is reaching my premise, the making sure that actually in case of any change it is being updated in the system, or continuously following with the supplier and making sure that actually any change is updated, as well as there is no delay in the overall process, right? That is something the organizations do. Some organizations it's been done by the logistics team, right? From calling with suppliers, ensuring that it has been confirmed, making sure that actually there is no delay. In case of a delay, update that in the system, and it has been interfaced with the overall planning system in the organization, right? So end-to-end process can be achieved through that. Actually, that is what the biggest achievement, right? So that is something which we can always do in the system. And expediting is nothing but follow-up, ensuring that actually, or logistics process, right from that reaching in our I would say organization or facility.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. Thank you very much. I think that completes the question. We have a couple of minutes more. In case there are questions, feel free to type them. We can take 1 or 2 more questions. Otherwise, we can call it today. I wish you all a great evening, and hope to see you soon. We would be conducting more webinars, more knowledge dissemination sessions in line with the product MeRLIN, how we are trying to make it more robust, more AI and machine learning driven product, and also from our cloud infrastructure, how we are going to be doing the whole thing. It tells you the infrastructure in detail. And also we would be bringing certain industry experts into the same forum through our esteemed channel network. We would be providing you more insights, which is very, very context driven, specific to the business, who are industry experts, and probably stay tuned, and We would make this recording available to you for future reference purposes. If there are no questions, I think we would call it a day. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.